Hello and welcome to the Essays on the English Longsword. My name is Alex, and today we're taking a look at bent, spent, line spent, and drawing back. Bent, spent, line spent, and drawing back we mentioned many times throughout this essay and this whole sort of YouTube channel as a thing. These are incredibly basic concepts, but it's the simple concepts that really matter in a fight. These are the four actions that any fighter uses and are bound to, whether they choose to or even aware of them. And regardless of weapon skill or lack of both, they are incredibly important to whenever you're fighting. Silver first mentions these concepts in Paradox of Defense. Reading from the Stephen Hick Modernization, he says, "In due observance of the four actions, the which we should call bent, spent, line spent, and drawing back. These actions every man fights upon, whether they are skillful or unskillful. He that observes them is safe, he that observes them not is in continual danger of every thrust that should be strongly made against him." The best way I've seen to visualize what these concepts are is to see them as states of being. Ways to hold the sword in different levels of preparedness, either for the weapon or the body of the fencer. Keeping close attention to not just state you're in, but your opponent in as well, allows you to make accurate and safe decisions in a fight, allowing you to defend or strike as necessary. So what are these four actions? We'll start with bent. Bent is holding your blade or weapon back and prepared for a swing or a thrust. You are chambered for a strike. This can have your hands either held by your head, down by your hip, anything really that your hands are attracted to near your body. This can be ready for a quarter, round, foreign, a strike, a thrust. You are usually having the point offline, either pointing up or to the back, and the blade edge is ready to be cast forward to cut or slash the target. However, bent can also have the point forward, being ready and prepared for a thrust. This not only allows you to be chambered for a strike, but also keeps your hands safe, away from extremities that your opponents can attack. If bent is being retracted, spent is going to be extended. Spent is holding your blade or weapon forward with the point towards your target. Your elbow should be opened mostly all the way, but doesn't need to be 100%. It is this full extension that is spent. In other traditions, this could be considered long point. And you can also see this in like rapier fencing or small sword, of having the hand extended out, gaining as much reach as you can. Now there are a few disagreements on what spent actually is. I disagree with folks who say that spent is the state after an attacking strike, where you're at your full extension or expected target. Spent isn't really exclusive to this. It really is just a state of holding the sword out, pointing the tip towards the opponent for an experienced period of time. Both bent and spent are positions you hold the sword. Even if for a few seconds, these are the guard or line you are holding the sword in. Silver gives some evidence on what he means by bent and spent. In Brief Instructions, Chapter 7, Ground 9, he says, "If he lies spent upon his variable fight, then keep your distance and make your space narrow upon him. To may cross his sword or wave your points with your sword points, whereupon you have won or gained the place, strike or thrust instantly." He follows up in Ground 10 by saying, "If he lies bent or spent upon the embrocader, bear up your points and make your space narrow and do the like." In both cases, Silver is really saying that bent and spent are positions you hold the sword in for a period of time, having it retracted in bent and extended in spent. Both of these are useful in a fight and have their different purposes and use cases. Both of these statements infer that spent is a state of holding the sword, and is not really a temporary bit of time after a strike. If the first two of these four actions are positions you stay in, something you want to stay in for a period of time during a fight, even if for a few seconds, what are the last two? These are of course going to be line spent and drawing back. Line spent is going to be that bit of time where your weapon is unable to do an offensive or defensive action according to your will. It is that thing that most people misconceive that spent is. Line spent is this moment. Line spent can really be a fraction of a moment. It is a really small amount of time, but it matters a lot. It is essentially any time where you are unable to do an action with your sword. This could come after a variety of things. This can be even hitting your target, slowing or stopping the sword, getting worried or parried by another weapon, or just the weapon traveling through the air in its arc as it's moving. This state of being is incredibly dangerous. Even if it is a small fraction of a second, it is dangerous because you cannot make an action. You cannot use judgment to make a decision to either attack or defend yourself, leaving you open for an opponent to attack you. If you are trying to get out of line spent, you are now going to drawing back. Drawing back is really any state of movement as you recover from a strike. It is the withdrawing of your weapon to being either bent or in some cases spent. Drawing back is also incredibly dangerous because in most cases the enemy is not actually threatened by the retreating weapon and usually has the ability to strike in this time as you are drawing back. So why do these four actions matter? These four actions are things you want to do and things you want to avoid as much as possible. You want to be bent or spent in the right circumstances, and trying to get out of line spent and drawing back as fast as possible. You are always going to be switching between these different actions, these different states of being, and keeping an eye on them is what's going to keep you safe and allow you to strike your opponent without being struck yourself. Most experienced fencers, most people have been doing this for a while, even if they know it or don't know it, will have it second nature to limit line spent and drawing back as much as possible. It is best practice when using medieval weapons to cut from guard to guard, from line to line, minimizing being line spent or drawing back. Cutting from high to low or low to high, side to side, always going from one guard to another, helps to minimize drawing back. You can never fully remove line spent or drawing back, but you can minimize it as much as possible. As an example of cutting guard to guard, you will almost immediately bent, ready for another strike against your opponent, and keeping that time minimal of him being able to strike you. Understanding both the purpose and the actual reality of these states of being, of these actions, will aid you in fencing, both in striking and defending. This is exactly where the ground and governor judgment really comes in. You need judgment to properly parse the information coming in, either for yourself or for your opponent, and to make the proper decision on the correct action, whether you are bent, spent, line spent, or drawing back. Again, for the most part, these are really basic concepts. I am ready to strike, and I am not ready to strike. You are able to attack me, or I am too much of a threat for you to do so. Even if these are simple, you really should pay attention to these and have these as part of your decision tree. Whenever you are doing an action, be thinking about what state I am and what state they are in, and allow you to make the proper decision to defend or strike appropriately. A few examples of the decision trees I usually come across of when I'm sparring are going to be these examples. The first one is you are bent. You are ready to strike in open fight with your sword above or near the side of your head, ready to do a descending cut on your opponent. Your opponent has just missed their strike, a similar descending cut, as now have the sword down below by their leg and are unable to strike, as it is still moving to the next guard. Here, you are able to strike. They are unable to hit you since they are drawing back, and you have an open ability to hit them in the arm, head, or wherever have you. Altogether, these are, again, basic concepts. These are really simple. But if you pay attention to these, if you use these in your fight using proper decision trees, these are going to improve your fencing and allow you to be safe, to strike and not be struck back. To end off this essay, I do also want to talk about lighter weapons. For the most part, bent, spent, line spent, and drawing back all apply to all weapons. However, they apply better or more accurately to medieval or heavier weapons. The lighter and more nimble weapons are, the least line spent and drawing back really matter in a fight. This is again just a reality you have to accept. The reason being is that the speed these weapons can achieve, both in action and reaction, minimizes these two actions to almost being negligible and possibly not even noticeable, allowing to ward, guard, attack, and strike. You still very much have to pay attention to the states of being bent or spent, as they will tell you what possible action is coming against you or to your opponent, and will allow you to react or prepare accordingly. LARP weapons, Olympic, classical fencing weapons, sabers, small swords, some rapiers, a whole bunch of weapons. These can be really frustrating to fight with if you are used to heavier medieval weapons, or at least pre-colonial weapons. The reason being is you will often be caught surprised by the swiftness of the strikes and drawing back. My best advice, if you are coming against these weapons, and you know the best way to fight with them using this sort of mindset, is to focus on the times. Time of the hand, body, and foot and feet. Really controlling distance, maintaining distance, is going to help you so much when fighting these lighter weapons, even if line spent and drawing back aren't really going to help you as much as they really should. Thank you all so much for watching this essay, praying for y'all, and God bless your adventures.